Hey there, this is Diana Lopez with Olivo Verde Coaching, and I am coming to you today to share our presentation on understanding how to read nutrition labels. Normally, I'd come to you face to face, but it's a little bit easier for me to come to you in a little bubble off to the side so we can kind of talk over this topic and I can kind of show you some important things. So welcome today, and let's dive in. So let me ask you this. When you're reading nutrition labels, what are you looking at? Are you looking at calories? Are you looking at serving sizes? Are you looking at how much protein is in it? How many carbs are in it? Are you looking at fiber? Are you looking at something else? So what are you looking at on a nutrition label? And then my next question for you is why? Why are you looking at those specific things? Was there someone that told you a certain thing is what you want to look for and what is important? Or are you following a certain diet and that's why you're looking? So shoot me a message below and let me know, what are you looking at on nutrition labels and why are you looking at them? Or maybe it's more for you a rhetorical question just to think about: when you pick up a box in the grocery store, what are you looking at? What is most important to you? And how are you using that information to be healthier? So when we start to look at a nutrition label, there's a few things right off the top most people are pretty aware of. There's that rectangular box that encompasses the nutrition facts label. And right underneath where it says nutrition facts, it gives you the total number of serving sizes per container that for that food. So let's say, I don't know, it's a box of crackers. So for you, are you going to eat the whole box, or are you just eating a serving? Or are you eating a couple servings? So you want to make sure you're looking at that. And then the next line down talks about serving sizes. So for serving sizes, for whatever this product is, it's 2/3 of a cup. So are you eating 2/3 of a cup? For my people that are having weight loss surgery, are you eating that much? Maybe you're only eating half of that or a quarter of that. So you might need to, divide that, all the servings, all the different information by the actual serving that you're eating. So if it's 2/3 of a cup, you're eating half of that. Every number from calories on down, you divide that by 2. So pay attention to that, because if you're not eating the full serving size, you need to know what you're eating. Or if you're eating more than that full serving size, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that as well. And then for us, outside of that number where it has 2/3 of a cup and then it says 55 grams, that is, if we put that product on a food scale and we weighed it, that's how much the total product would weigh. So if you're using a metric system, you might be looking at that number rather than the way we do it in America and the United States, where we look at cups and tablespoons and all those sort of things. And then the next piece of information most people are familiar with is calories. So with the new nutrition label, very large and bold, they have the number of calories per serving. So if I eat 2/3 of a cup of whatever this is, I'm going to get 230 calories. So let's kind of look down the food label a little bit farther. So once we get past calories, there are a few things to look at. So one of the things I find with my weight loss surgery patients is a lot of times they're not looking at how much fat is in the product they're eating. They're usually focused on, are they getting all of their protein from that food? Are they not consuming too many carbohydrates? And they're not really looking at fat. So if you're, trying to keep your calories under a certain limit, you certainly want to look at how much fat you're taking in. And then under fat, it has it indented, and it talks about the saturated fat and the trans fat. Those are both types of fat that are not great for us. So it's on the label so that you can pay attention to that. If you're someone that has heart disease or you're worried about your heart health, that's where you want to look. Make sure the saturated fat and the trans fat is low. Things like the poly and the mono unsaturated fats, which tend to be good, healthy fats, they tend not to list them on the nutrition label. So of that, on this product, the 8 grams of fat, 1 gram is saturated fat, and the rest is either mono or poly unsaturated fat. We don't know which because it doesn't specify for us. And then underneath that, the next thing it lists for us is cholesterol. So usually what we're aiming for is 200 to 300 milligrams of cholesterol daily. If you're someone that has a history of heart disease, you're looking for 200 milligrams or less daily for heart health. So you want to pay attention to that and make sure you're abiding by that. For my people that are new to weight loss surgery and you're eating protein, 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 and not much else, for a period of time, you might find your cholesterol is a little bit higher, especially if you're consuming a lot of animal products. So cholesterol is found in the animal products we consume, whether it's meat, chicken, or fish, seafood, dairy products. So cholesterol is going to be in those foods versus protein that maybe you're getting from beans or peas or maybe nuts, seeds, nut butters. There's not going to be cholesterol in those vegetable or vegetarian foods. So or plant-based foods, I should say. So that may or may not be something they're really paying attention to. And then the other thing is sodium. For me, a lot of times when I look at different products, I might be comparing sodium. Like if for me, like a spaghetti sauce, I might be looking from one brand to the other to see how much sodium is in that. Most people that do not have high blood pressure are looking for 2,300 milligrams or less daily of sodium. So you can look at that. Again, for me, that, if everything is on the nutrition label is the same, like for spaghetti sauce, maybe they're the same, but one has a higher sodium content than the other, then I'm probably going to choose one over the other. Maybe you're like me, like if I take in too much sodium, my feet tend to get hot and they tend to swell and I'm uncomfortable. So I'm trying to limit the amount of sodium that I take in so I don't have that happen to me. All right. And then the next thing we're going to look at, which most people are probably pretty familiar with, at the bottom on the nutrition label or in the, maybe it's bottom middle now, it's going to tell you total carbohydrates. And then under that, there are a few things. So it's going to list dietary fiber. It's going to list the total grams of sugar, including the added sugar. So that product may already have sugar in it, but it may also have sugar that gets added to it to enhance the flavor to make it sweeter. So for you when you're looking at carbs, where does that fit in your goal? A lot of times with the surgeons that I work with, someone in the beginning, what they're looking for carbohydrate wise is going to be anywhere between 30 to 60 grams of carbs for a day. Or if you're farther along, and the reason they do that, before I move on, is the reason they do that is because they want to make sure that you're getting all your protein in. If you're getting too full from carbohydrates, you might not get all your protein. And once you're able to get in the amount of protein that you need in the day or with a meal, then that carbohydrate serving may end up increasing a little bit, because maybe you're active, you're walking a lot, maybe your body just requires a little bit more carbohydrate. So you need to determine where does a carbohydrate food fit within your goals. And then the other thing this slide talks about are things like net and impact carbs. I saw another word for carbohydrates the other day. I can't remember, but so if you're seeing that on the front of the nutrition label, what they're doing is they're actually taking out the fiber. Or if a product has sugar alcohol, which isn't sugar, it's not alcohol, it's a compound that food manufacturers use to sweeten food. So for things that have sugar alcohol in them, it sweetens food. It has a little bit of carbohydrate in it. And so what food manufacturers will do is they'll deduct all the fiber, they'll deduct all the sugar alcohol and say, hey, this product only has X1 or 0 net carbs. That is not a term that is legalized, let's say. So it's not a term that the FDA has said, yes, this is a term we approve of. It means something. It's really used by food manufacturers to sway the decisions that we make about products. So if you're looking at the carbohydrate content of food, what I would look at how much fiber is in that food. Are you getting enough fiber? So for most people, the goal is anywhere between 20 to 35 grams of fiber a day. So you want to look and make sure it has enough fiber. Or if you're wanting to limit your amount of sugar that you're taking in, then that may be something that you're looking at as well. And we'll talk about that in the next slide because I'll give you some guidance. And again, with sugar alcohol, it's not sugar, it's not alcohol. Where you'll find that is in a lot of diet food, sugar-free candies, sugar-free cookies, protein bars sometimes have a lot of sugar alcohol. What I've read is that most people after weight loss surgery can consume about 10 grams of sugar alcohol a day without having side effects. So side effects would be like, your stomach's gurgling at you, you have gas, you got a lot of bloating, maybe you have a little bit of diarrhea. If we consume a lot of food that has sugar alcohol in it, our bellies don't like that. And so that can make us not feel good. So again, the recommendation that I've seen is 10 grams or less of sugar alcohol, but I have weight loss surgery clients that tell me that they can't do that much sugar alcohol. They can only do a couple grams, or they can't do any at all because as soon as they eat it, it causes their stomach to feel upset. So be informed consumers. Read your nutrition label. Does it have sugar alcohol in there? Is that something that it works for you? Is it something that you want to stay away from? So that is those are the things that make up carbohydrates. And then the next thing that we'll talk about, which I get a lot of questions about, is how much sugar can I have, or how much sugar should I have after surgery? So when I was looking at recommendations, the American Heart Association, their guidance, and you can read through the slide, but for women, they say 24 grams or less of sugar. For men, they say 36 grams or less. And for weight loss surgery patients, the goal is 10 grams or less. So when I say that, what I'm looking at specifically is the added sugar. So if you're eating a piece of fruit, it has fructose in it. So we're not necessarily going to count that, but we're talking about the sugar that's gets added in maybe to like a yogurt. So maybe a yogurt, they want to make it sweeter, so they're going to add more sugar into it, which yogurts, by the way, have lactose, which is milk sugar. It's not bad for you. It's just a naturally occurring form of sugar in dairy products, just like fructose is naturally occurring form of sugar in fruits. So they're not bad. It's just for the added sugar, we're adding sugar crystals, high fructose corn syrup. You want to limit that. So that's where you're looking, how much added sugar is in this product. So I hope that answers questions about sugar for you. Next thing we're going to talk about is that bottom half of that nutrition label. So most people I work with, because of the focus in the beginning and as you prepare for weight loss surgery on protein, most people are pretty well versed on what foods count towards protein. So on that food label, it's going to tell you how many grams of protein, and then you can decide how does that food fit into your daily routine. Is it giving you enough protein that comprehensively for the whole day you're getting what you need, or is it not giving you enough and maybe there's a better option? So that's what, it tells you how much protein. And then below that thick black line, it lists some specific nutrients for you. And before they used to just give you that percentage, but now they give you amount. So here it lists for us vitamin D. Vitamin D has 2 micrograms, calcium it has 260 milligrams, iron it has 8, potassium it has 240 milligrams. The reason those are listed there and they're called out on a nutrition label is because most people do not get enough of these vitamins and minerals. So that's why they're there. So we had an interesting discussion last month when we were talking about protein supplements, and we were talking about vitamins and minerals and calcium. So after weight loss surgery, I'm talking sleeve or gastric bypass, typically you're going to take calcium citrate. You're going to take anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 milligrams a day. But some people were finding calcium citrates that were 500 milligrams, but they were drinking a couple protein shakes a day. So if you're taking 500 milligrams calcium citrate a day, that's going to get you up to 1,000 milligrams. And then they were drinking 2 protein shakes a day. Let's say this was for a protein shake. It's got 260 milligrams in one. So if you doubled that, that would be another 500 and something. So that is something that you want to keep in mind, just to look at that, to make, if you're falling low on calcium, look at your protein shakes and milks and cheeses and stuff like that, because you may be getting all you need from those foods. So those are things you can look at. And the last thing we'll talk specifically about on the nutrition label is this percent of daily value column. So if I'm totally honest with you, this is something maybe I use for quick reference. More often than not, I'm looking at the actual numbers on the nutrition label, not so much this percent of daily value. So percent of daily value, that's what percent it is of a 2,000 calorie diet. So most people after weight loss surgery are not consuming 2,000 calories a day. So you're not going to consume enough of this product more than likely to get what's listed on there. But it gives you an idea. You can kind of use it as a quick guide if you're looking for specific things like, let's say, sodium. So for sodium, you want it to be 5% or less because that indicates it's a low sodium product. This one is 7, so maybe it's more of a medium moderate sodium content, or 20% or more of a 2,000 calorie diet. That indicates that it's high in that particular nutrient. So for this label we're looking at, for added sugar, it's 20%. So that tells me for this product, it actually has probably quite a bit of added sugar in there. So maybe it's not going to be my first choice. One of the ways that I'll look at this, things I'll look at this for would maybe be for a meal. So for a meal, I don't need low fat meal, but maybe something in the more moderate range. So when I'm looking at the fat content, like for this one, it's 8% fat. So or 8 grams of fat, 10% of the daily value of that 2,000 calorie diet. That might be something that works for me for a meal. For a snack, but I don't want quite as much fat in a snack maybe. So I would maybe looking for something that's 5% or less. So like I said, for me, this percent of daily value number isn't something that I use an awful lot, but it may be something that is of value to you as you're comparing products. Like if I'm comparing microwave dinners or TV frozen meals, I might be looking at these two columns to make decisions about which one looks like it's a better product. And then I'm going to, step over and look at the actual numbers and see how it fits in my diet. So that's what that column's there for. You can use it, you can not use it, but that's what it's there for. And now we're going to look at two different products, similar products. And a lot of times I see people consuming some of these products before weight loss surgery. So they're great products to compare. It's a Jimmy Dean, the biscuit that has egg, cheese, and bacon on it versus the Jimmy Dean Delight, which is an English muffin. It's got turkey sausage, egg whites, and cheese on it. So when we look, serving size, the same serving size, one sandwich. There's 4 servings for a container for both. Calorically, calories, they're pretty close to each other. So not a big difference there. When I scroll down the label and look at fat, that's where we start to see the big difference. So for the Jimmy Dean meal product or the biscuit, it's got 19 grams of fat in there, which for a 2,000 calorie diet, it's 29% of the diet. So if you're someone that eats 3 times a day, then that might not be a terrible choice for you. For me, when I start to look down, I'm going to show you some other things which would make it not a great choice for me. But so if you eat 3 times a day, 30% of your fat is going to be spread out over 3 meals. So that's not terrible. But if I look at the Delight, there's only 8 grams of fat in that. So if I'm eating more times a day, that might be a better choice because then I can add in fat throughout my entire day. And then we can look at saturated fat. That's bad for your heart. The biscuit has more saturated fat than the Delight. So 9 compared to 3.5. Cholesterol, again, the biscuit's higher because because of the products. It's got egg whites in there, it's got regular bacon in there, so that's what changes the cholesterol from 100 to 30. The other, the one that's 30 has got turkey bacon, it's got egg whites, so that's going to lower that. Sodium's about the same, carbs are about the same, fiber's about the same, sugar's about the same. The difference for me is going to be in protein. So if I'm looking to make sure I'm getting more protein throughout the day, the Delight has 18 grams of protein versus the biscuit that has only 10. So that is maybe something that is going to make a difference and make or break my choice of which one I'm going to eat. So if I'm a 3 time a day eater, I'd rather get 18 grams of protein, because if I can do 18 grams of protein 3 times a day, 18, or let's say 20 times 3, 60 grams of protein with 3 meals. So that might be a good choice for me. So for me, that's how I use labels to make choices. And let me know, shoot me a comment below if that doesn't make sense to you. I can, do some more videos or give you more clarification in that. So for me, nutrition labels in the grocery store, I can compare, things and see, am I looking at apples to apples? And then the next slide that we're going to look at is actually, because we're going to look at nutrition ingredients on a label. So I was pretty surprised. I think there are like 50 some versions of sugar. So these are all the different names for, or different types of sugar that are out there. So when you're looking at a nutrition label, you want to look and see maybe, there's something in there that you didn't really realize was a sugar or a form of sugar. So look at the nutrition label for that. So now we're actually going to look at an ingredient list. This is an ingredient list for a healthy breakfast cereal. And with ingredients, they are listed by weight. So the more of a certain ingredient they use, the higher it's going to be on that ingredient list. And so what food manufacturers often will do, which they did with this healthy cereal, is they use 3 different kinds of sugar, because if they use the same kind of sugar, it might be the first or second ingredient in the sugar, but I don't, I might not know that brown rice syrup is a form of sugar. Cane sugar, I'm going to know. Molasses, I'm going to probably have an idea, but I might overlook that first one and not realize that this actually has a good bit of added sugar in it. So it may not be a great choice for me. So when you're looking at nutrition labels, just remember the first and second ingredient, the third ingredient, that is what it has the most of in there. So that will help you make choices. If there's maybe a certain kind of oil that you don't want to consume, then look at that and see, does it have that type of oil in there? Is that the first or second ingredient? Are there certain things that you're trying to stay away from? So you can look at that to make decisions about that. And as for me personally, when I'm looking at nutrition labels and ingredients, I want the one that has the least ingredients in it and the most ingredients that I understand what they are. The more ingredients that it has in there that I have no idea what they are, then I'm probably not going to eat that, because I want to eat things that are as close to the natural way they occur as I can. That isn't always possible for everything, but for the majority, 80% of the things I consume and I eat, that's what I'm looking for. So I hope that helps you figure out, like, demystifies a little bit nutrition labels. So I'm going to go back to that question I had for you. What are the 3 most important things for you when you're looking at a food label? So as we talk through that, maybe that's changed from where we were, in the beginning of all this. So look at that food label. Let me know, comment below. Let me know what things you're now going to be looking at the food label and why. How has that made a difference for you? So I'd love to hear back from you and hear your comments. Let me know what you think. And then last, I just want to thank you for joining us. I'm so glad to have you here with us. We try to put together valuable content for you after your weight loss surgery, before your weight loss surgery, so you know what you're doing and you have a lot of confidence and feel secure that you are making good, healthy decisions for yourself. So if you are not part of our group, please join us at Olivo Verde Coaching on Facebook or Instagram. I also have an Olivo Verde Coaching nutrition community where we just do more exclusive content, Facebook trainings. We do virtual support group through there where you can interact with other people that are going through the same process you are. So I hope you're doing well. Please shoot me any questions you have, and we'll see you soon, okay? Take care. Bye.